So I'll start by sharing my screen. Okay, perfect. So please confirm you're able to see my screen. Okay, perfect. So we are going to pick up from where we left at yesterday. So just a quick recap of what happened yesterday is that we were able to create the models for our blog post. We also created a model for tags and models for categories. So we are going to pick it up from there, and we were also able to render the blog post on our on the blog. Sorry. So we were also able to render the blog post in the blog page. So we were only able to upload the two of them, but we can always add more from the admin dashboard. So today I would want us to take this further by listing the categories that we have, and alongside the categories we have a count of the number of blog posts that we have. We also want to ensure that on clicking this particular category, we are able to get a filter or a page with only the blog articles that fall under this category. Right, then we will also move to these other sections, but for now let us start with the categories section. Alright, so for categories, so let me just go back to my views here, and I'm going to advance on what we have here, because basically we are dealing with this view that is working to return what we are seeing. So let's advance on this. So for now we do not need this. Alright, so the next thing that we need to fetch from the database, we need to fetch the categories, and the way to do that, we are going to talk of blog categories, right? So in here we're going to talk of category dot objects dot all. But again, if we just fetch the categories this way, so we are going to miss out on the count, right? So as we previously did with the courses and the subjects, here instead of just fetching all, we need to annotate. Then in here we are to give the count, the name that we want to give the number of blog articles related to each and every category. So in here we can just mention blog count, which we get from models dot count. Again, we do not have this model, we need to import it here, and if you remember well, we got it from django.db import models, right? Then what are we counting? In here we will be counting the number of blog posts that are related to the current or the categories that we are going to fetch. So from the last session, there is the session, actually not the last one, but there was that session we talked about the related name. So if we come here, post, then category, so in here we did not define the related name. Sorry that we must have forgotten that, but then by default there is a default name that we usually use as the related name. That is, if a related name is not provided, there is a related name that falls in place. So that name is usually the class name for this particular model, but in lowercase. All right, So sometimes it may be conflicting in a scenario whereby you may have multiple foreign keys or those kind of relationships. So it's always advisable to add a related key here. All right. So in this case, let me just call it post and save that. Then here in the views, then I can peacefully have that. So this is gonna return the categories alongside the count of each and every the count of the post related to that particular category. All right, so in here I just need to copy that, come into our dictionary, then I can pass in that, then pass in that, right? Then I should navigate to blog.html, and I need to locate where we have categories. All right, so this is it. So we mentioned if you are working with such template that has multiple items of what you now want to fetch from the DB, just ensure to identify the uniform block that renders what we are seeing. So that should be this list. So we collapse that one as well, do that here, do that as well. So we do not need all this, so we're gonna delete that and work with just what we have here. All right, so again, we said that before we render anything on the front end, we are first of all need to at least do a check, so that at least you inform your website users accordingly. So we want to check, we want to do an if else check. So we want to check if blog categories, then we need to do this. Otherwise, let your website visitors know that no categories. All right, then in here we need to do a for loop. So we are going to do a for loop, then talk of right, somebody somewhere. All right, sorry for that. So the other guys seeing my screen? Let me just stop sharing and reshare it again. Present now, entire screen, that, then share. All right, please confirm you're able to see my screen. Are you able to see my screen, guys? Okay, perfect. Okay, so Raksha, please confirm you're also able to see my screen. Okay, all right, thank you for the confirmation. All right, so let's proceed. All right, so I was saying we need to do a for loop, and we will be looping through the blog categories that we have just passed in. So I'm going to talk of for blog category. Let me just do it that way. Blog category in blog categories, then we are going to do that loop, and we have to end for just before we talk of else. All right, so I can now expand this. Then in here I'll be talking about so this is where I want to mention that. So the double curly brackets, and I will talk of blog category dot, I think it should be name, and again we also need to pass in something here. So in here we also need to talk about blog category dot, there is this name here that we have blog count. All right, so let's have blog count, right? So let us save that, come back here, reload, and we see that we have two categories and each has just one blog article. So we can try adding another blog or another category. let's see how it goes. Categories. Okay, so let me just click on this, then press on. Okay, so let me talk about okay, programming should be a double N, a double M, I'm not sure. Let me just save that, then reload. All right, and we see that we have added another category, programming, and it has no blog post. All right, anyone? Sorry. Okay, all right, so we are now able to see the categories. So the next thing that we want to do, we want to click on this category, or rather this one, for instance, this one that has some items. Once we click on this, we want to get hold of or to get a list of the blog articles that fall under that category. All right, so we are going to do that shortly. So I think in my opinion, do we first of all finish? Okay. So what do you suggest? Do we first of all finish with categories, then move to recent, or rather we first work with the blog page as it is, that is touch on categories before we move to recent, then move to tags? How do you want us to handle this? Any opinion? Okay, all right, then in that case let us do everything that has to do with categories before we move into the next section. All right, so here we want to define another URL such that clicking this URL takes us to a page where we are now only able to see blog articles that are related to categories. And when we mention about a URL, that means we also need to define a view that takes care of that. Right, so we will be defining a view that will be processing that. All right, so in here we need to come and views, and to come under views, then first of all leave that alone, then come in here and define another view. All right, so this view we want to let me just give it a descriptive name. So post list by category. Not sure if it's the best name, but at least it's descriptive enough. So in here we pass in the request. Here we also need something, and that is the category URL. Category URL. All right, so it could be category URL, category slug, or slug. So you may just give it a name of your choice. All right, so in here what we want to do is that we want to fetch one, the blog articles that are related to the category that we are working with. Right. All right, so the way to do that, one we need to let us fetch the blog articles. Let me see if I can name them the same way we have so this is how I want us to work on this, because I'll be using the blog this blog.html to still do the filter. So I'll ensure that I give it the same names that we have used here. All right, otherwise if I had a different page that I want to utilize to just showcase the blog articles that are filtered, then in that case you may just give them any other names. But since we want to utilize the code that we have here, so we will still be naming them the same names that we have here. Right, so in here, yes, somebody. Okay, all right, so I'll be giving it the same name that we have here. So in here what I need to do is that I just need to copy paste that. But again, we do not need to fetch all the blog posts. what we only need to work with is that we'll be filtering. The first filter should be published as equals to true. That's true. Then the next thing should be by category. Okay, all right, just a moment, let me see here. Blog post, we have the category, right? But then how do we get this category? We are going to get the category from the URL that we are getting here, right? Okay, all right, okay, welcome back. So in here, before we even continue with this filtering, we need to select the particular category that we want to filter our blog post with using this category. All right, it's actually a spelling mistake there. All right, so we can talk of selected blog category. Allow me to use such descriptive name so that we can read it, right? So we are going to get this from we are going to talk of category dot objects dot. So in here, what we are going to use is we are going to use the get method. All right, and the get method, sometimes it's usually a little bit serious, since if there is nothing to pass in here, then that will break our code. So we are going to take care of that shortly, right? So let me see. So one, we want to get the category based on the URL. Remember, in the categories model we have URL, right? And that URL should be what we have passed in the URL that we have on our browser. Remember, we talked about we are going to pass in something here. That is the slug field. We are going to pass it in there. So whatever URL that we pass in there is the one that we are going to get or to filter the categories with. So let's pass in category URL. So now using this selected blog, we can now be able to filter the blog post, and this is what we do. So in there we are going to filter it using this category field. So use that is equals to selected blog category. All right, so with this, if everything works well, then we should get hold of the blog articles that are related to the category whose URL has been passed here. All right, so what I need again to copy and paste, this is what we are going to do. I know we are repeating ourselves, but then at the end of the day we will be having an assignment to see how we can avoid all these duplications, so that at least everything that is mapped here and appears in any other view can be updated from a central view or a central function. All right, so let me see. Okay, all right, so the next thing will be to render this template here, that is return render and return this context. So for now we are just passing in the blog post. All right, so the next thing that we need to do is to create a URL. Remember, a view cannot work with without a URL unless you define a view here that is being consumed by another view. So we need to come in here, define a URL that takes care of that. So we are going to talk about path. In here we have category, and in the category we pass in the slug. Then in here the next thing we need to pass in is what we have used here, right? So okay, sure, what we have used here. So in case you used a different name, ensure to pass it here. And if you started by creating the URL, whatever you pass in here, then make sure that it reflects here as well. All right, so After doing that, we need to talk of the views, and the views talks of let me see, post list by category, and the name. The name, let me pass this wrong name as well. All right, welcome. Then so the next thing, so the name, I'll still pass in this wrong name as it is, and I think that should do us good. So let me save that. All right, come back here, reload this page. All right, so for now we haven't worked on this section as well. So remember, we want to ensure that if you click on this, it now takes you to another page, or the same page, but only returns, say for instance, SEO writing, we expect to have just one blog post here, because we see that it has only one, and that blog post should be related to this category. All right, so what we need to do again, we need to come in here in blogs, then we have a URL here, we have this URL here. So all we need to do is we need to have a URL, pass in that. Then remember, okay, let me just save, and so we get the error and learn from that error, right? So if we do that, we get the same error, no reverse match at that. So remember, for this URL to function, we need to pass in some argument here, as we have defined in the URLs. All right, we need to pass in the category URL, which happens to be, in our case, we are going to pass in, let me see what we have. All right, so should be blog category, this one for blog category. So that is where we are going to get our URL from. So blog category dot URL. All right, let's save that. That should do us good. All right, so let me see. All right, so that seems to be, so if you just check down here, let me click on SEO writing. So it has filtered one, right? And we see that the URL is working as we wanted. Then if we come here to just confirm SEO writing, or the post that has that, so let me just, okay, is it the second? All right, so let's just confirm. All right, SEO writing, so we are good. So the other thing that we need to do, let me just go back here, and if I click on programming, all right, so we do not get anything. Actually, we get that there are no posts at the moment. All right, so I think in that case, we do not need to try and catch anything here, but then I think we need, because the fact that URL existed, but then there is no blog post with that URL. So what if we try to pass in a URL that doesn't exist, that is a URL for a category that does not exist? All right, so let me just add a D. So we get this because we are using the get method. So to take care of that, we need to do the try and except block, that at least we should be able to handle that error as needed, because it's not always that things will work. So somebody, instead of using the web interface to navigate to a different page with the category of the URL, with the category of the blog that they think, they might decide to pass in a URL as we have done. So in here we can just come in and try to we pass in the try catch method. So in Python we call it the try except method. All right, so we do that. Then in here we come and do that except. Then okay, I shared with you some crime that we can commit about this. So if you are not so sure the error you expect, but you have a feeling that you will get an error, then you can just do except and proceed with the rest of the things. Otherwise, if you are so sure, if you are confident about what you're doing here, we have an exception that we expect to get, and that is a category. Let me see if there is that error here. Actually, category. Okay. The error doesn't. Okay, so basically it's we are talking of category does not exist, this one, but then it doesn't come out so clearly. So basically the error we are expecting in this case, we are expecting category does not exist. All right, then once we do that, then we can proceed to instruct our server what to do in such a case. So maybe what we can do, let me see. All right, so if we raise an error for 4, let me see how that behaves. HTTP 404, there is something like this. Sometimes it doesn't happen so well. Okay, category does not exist. Right, so I need to import this. Let me see, I'm importing it from all right, from HTTP. So it has been imported here. Right, so let's see if that error will be handled in a better way. But I believe so we still get this, which I believe isn't still the best thing we can do. So anyway, in such a case, we can decide to redirect the user to another page that probably will be handling the errors. Again, this is one of the way that we can handle that, but we can also design a page that we can use to show such errors. For instance, let us just do that because we are here to run. So let me quickly create a template here, errors.html. Have that. Then in here, let me just come in and let me just copy paste from index, copy everything, come do that. Then what I'll be doing here, I need to confirm what is in the body. Not really confirming, I need to remove everything that is in the body section. All right, so everything that falls in here, I need to remove it. All right, let me first of all remove that. All right, and this one as well. Okay, so I might not have okay, all right, so let's keep things easy for us. So all we need here, we need to have okay, do we return a h2? Let me have it as a h2. So in here we are going to return some message, and this so what happens, let me show you how we can handle that in a very good way. So so here we are going to do this. And again, if you have a better way, because you might come across a better option, please use that as well. But for now, let's have something working for us. So in here, let's talk of the message being that category does not exist. All right, and then we can pass in the message here. We can pass in the message here. All right, so once we do that, let's come in here and pass in the message. So this template, we can use it for all the errors, so that in say another view that we expect to show the user an error, then we can pass in that error with a variable name message. So we feed in our error and assign it to message. So message will be placed here. So let's see how if we can get something better. Template does not exist. How did I name it? Oh, I named it errors, not just error. So let's have that, right? So okay, all right, so this is what we have, and maybe you can style it a little bit to give a better visual impression, but at least we do not break our code simply by if a user enters a URL that does not exist, that is for this category URL. All right, so that's something else we at least needed to appreciate. So for now, we can peacefully click on that. We don't expect to get any errors. Then we can just go back since we didn't get anything. Then for SEO writing, we're happy to get this. All right, then for web development, all right, that's it for categories, but we still have some more work to do, because if for instance, for now we have the category section and we want this to happen. If we click on web development, we are taken to we still have access to the blog page, but now the list of the blog posts that we have are only those under web development category. So if you look at this side, we are told that there are no categories, but we know they are. We have we have 3 categories in place. So we will still be passing in data so that we can also take care of that. All right. So we are going to see how to do that. In the meantime, let us now work on the recent post. Right. So I'll go back to the blog, because this is where we first need to action that. Once we do this, what we need to do, we need to, right, so we want to work on the to fetch the recent post. So in here we need to come. Okay, so for now let me just add some few comments here. These are blog categories. Right, then in here we can mention recent blogs. Right, so let us just call them that, recent blogs. Right, and so here basically what we do is that we fetch the latest, say 2, 3, 5, 10, so we fetch the latest blog articles here. So we can just look through and see, probably we just need 3 of them. Right, so we need to fetch the first 3, right, the latest 3 posts that have been created. All right, so what we need to do, we need to have post. So at least in this case we will be using something we haven't used before. Then we have objects. In here we are going to pass in order by. Right, order by, and in here we need to make use of the time. So in here we added created at, so we will do that, created at, and once we do that, we need to pass in that the square brackets, and to fetch the first 3, or the 3 new or the 3 most recent blog posts. Then we just have a colon and 3, so that will give us the most recent 3 blog posts. Right, so what happens with if we pass this created at, right, what we are going to get is that we are going to have the blog post ordered from the one that was posted earliest. Right, in other words, from the oldest blog article to the recent. So if we fetch the last 3, all right, so if we fetch the first 3 rather, then we will be getting the last 3. All right, say we created one 7 a.m., another one 8 a.m., 9 a.m., like that. So we will get them in that order, but we want to get them in the order of the one that was created probably 6 p.m., 5 p.m., like that. So all we usually need to do is that we just need to do that. All right, we just need to do that. All right, or in other words, let me just let us not just rush through. Let me print something here. Print recent blogs. All right, so in here, okay, so in here we expect, let me see. So we expect the oldest block. Let me use that word. The oldest block to be, I think this one, the first post. This was actually the first post, so it's the oldest. So instead of what we have here, let me filter by just one, or rather just fetch just one, using this order by the created time. All right, so let's see how it behaves, so that at least we can know where to put the minus. All right, so in here, let me come here, reload. So in here, what do I get? This is the first post. So basically this returns the oldest post. All right, so what if I add this minus sign here? Right, let me save that, come back here, reload, then go back. So you see, I get the second, and this is the latest blog article that we published. All right, if we were to publish another one, let me just do that here, so that we get things right. Let me publish that blog article. I'm going to copy paste this information here. That blog post, right? Then okay, 20th, we have Django training, we have static images, then we have blog 3. All right, then here we just pass in some few paragraphs. That's okay. Then we can talk of the last one was programming, then web, then just save that. All right, then let's come back here, reload. All right, so where is that? Okay, let me see this. All right, so let me start that, reload here. All right, then so I'm able to get the very latest blog post that I just added, courtesy of these minus here. So in other words is that we need to pass in this minus sign. All right, so in this case we want to fetch the latest 3 blog articles that we have added. All right, so save that. Then once we do that, we need to go back to our blog page. All right, so for now we don't need errors, neither do we need HTML. Right, we don't need that as well. All right, so in here we need to pass in the recent post. Okay, all right, so we again we need to identify the uniform block, which happens to be this a tag. So we delete 2 of them, we only need to work with 1. All right, so we need to check, to do an if else check. It's always healthy to do that. So these latest blogs, we haven't passed them into this template. All right, and again I would want to be uniform with using these quotations. If I decide to use single, let me use single in all cases, but then it has no harm. All right, so let me go back to the blogs. So I check if a recent blog has something, or if it returns true, then do that. Otherwise, just mention that there are no posts. Okay, no post at the moment. All right, close that. And then if there are, then please list them here. So what you need to do is that once we confirm they are there, then we need to do a for loop. So we have recent blog in recent blogs. Then in here we just need to move this one just before the else statement. Then in here we are going to pass in a recent blog dot title. that's the name, the title that we, rather the name of the blog article that we set. Then in here we need to pass in created at, which happens to be the date when the blog articles were created. All right, so let's come back here, reload that. All right, and we see we have them arranged in this order from the very latest blog moving to up to the third one, if at all we have the three of them. So in a case that we probably had, for instance here, if we came here and have, instead of 3 we have 5, but we clearly know that we have 3, then it will just fetch what there is, so long as it doesn't exceed the value that has been provided. All right, so then we would also want to be, if we click on this, we go to the single page showing us more information about these blog posts. So all right, and I think we are missing out on the image here, so we can be fair enough to pass in the image. We have that dot image dot URL, and again remember, for the alt, it's always healthy to pass in the alternative name that will be shown. So that's that dot title, right? Save that, go back, reload. Image is so big, then we can't come in here and try to make it better. Maybe we can have okay, which attributes do we usually use? I've even forgotten. Height, let me see. Height, can I talk of 50? Let me see if it behaves. Okay, 50 px doesn't work. Oh, probably okay. I think that's better. That's better. So these should simply be thumbnails, but we have them that way. So the next thing, we want to be able to click on this and be taken to more information about the single blog post. So all we need to do is that we need to identify, actually everything is an a tag here, so should you click on image, the title or the date should take you to that page, because everything has been enclosed within a tags. All right, so in here we need to pass in the URL, right? So this URL, we need to pay close attention to this. So in here, this is the URL that we want to use, blog details, because it's the one that is giving us more information about a single blog post. So we are going to use blog details, then we be fair enough. Remember, this one requires us to pass in the slug field. So the way to get the slug field, we need that dot, I think we named it URL, otherwise you get the error stating no reverse for all that. Right, save that, and then come back here, reload. Right, if I come here, click, I'm taken to that page. Right, but we see we have not been able to inherit this yet. All right, we will take care of that with time. All right, so far so good. Any question, guys? Are you following? All right, so in this page, we are still in the blog page. So in this page, we also need to work on the tags, right? And we are still going to, it's now a repetition of concepts. All right, so in here, I just need to define another view that looks exactly like we have here, but then this one may, of course, we are going to use different names, especially for the views. So maybe in here we can talk of define post list by tags. All right, so then this should take in a request and tag URL. I think that's good enough. Then in here, just allow me to copy paste, because it's everything that we have here that we will be reusing here, right? So select blog by tag, so we update that. And I have done this with the imagination that we were able to appreciate what we have here, right? But in case you haven't, please let me know, so that we don't just do copying and pasting. All right, so I change that name. Then in here we have we need to have tag. We need to talk about tags. So this is basically the model that we created for tags here, right? So we have tags dot objects dot get. Then the URL in question should be tag URL in this case, right? Tag URL. Then blog post should be post dot object dot filter. We filter by published. And then the tag here should be, let me confirm, we have tags actually. We have tags, so we have tags is equals to selected blog tag. So in this case, we will be fetching from each and every tag, not from a combination of tags. All right. Okay. So I think category. So here we are going to talk of tags does not exist. If at all you use a URL that whose tag does not exist, right? Then for the message, we are going to talk about that tag does not exist. That tag does not exist, and everything else looks good, right? So once we are done with the views, the next thing is to just come here in the URLs. Then we need to define a new path. So in here we can have tag slash, then we need to have slug, then pass in, that is what we have used here, tag URL. So we have tag URL, close that, and also have a backslash. Then we need to have views dot post list by tags, right? Then for the name, we also going to pass in the same name. All right, so once we have done that, I think the next thing, everything should be working, but we also need to do something to the tag section. All right, I think we skipped a section, because the first thing was first to render the tags here, so that the tags that we have here are the ones that have been fetched from the DB. Then that is when we are now going to come to do what we are currently doing. So let us first of all render the tags here, because what we are having here, these are static tags. I think we missed out on that step, so we need to do it in the views and blog, right? So for now I don't need that. So what we are going to talk about is that we are going to talk about tags, right? So in here we are talking about tags, so we can have blog tags. All right, we have tags dot objects dot, in this case we are just fetching all tags. All right, so that is that. Then we need to pass in blog tags to we need to pass in blog tags here, right? So once we do that, we are sure that it has been passed in through this context. So now let's move to templates. Under the tags section, this is where we get the tags. The good thing is that they are clearly visible, the repetitive block of code. So we can do an if check, if else, do an if else check. If blog tags returns positive, then do that. Else, if we don't have anything, be kind enough, no tags. right? Then in here, if we have tags, then we do a for loop. So for blog tag in blog tags, that's how I want to use that. Then I also pass in an end for here. All right, once we do that, then we can happily do this blog tag dot, then we had name. All right, I hope we are together. I hope I'm not moving so fast. So far so good. We only have 2 tags, and if we just navigate to this section tags, we can just confirm that, right? We can add a new tag, and we are going to name it. Let me see what we have. We have web and Linux. Let me talk of SEO. Save, come back here, reload that, and we see we have a third tag. All right, so the next section is where we were doing or whatever we were doing before we noticed that we have not done this, right? So the next section is where we want to, if you click on this, it only filters the blog articles based on this tag, or those that have referenced this tag. All right, so it's simple. We have already done the bigger bit, so the smaller bit is just coming here in the URLs, passing in the URL, and the URL should be the same as this name, right? Or rather what we pass in these URL tags. Then once you pass in the URL, remember for us to be able to access a certain tag, we also need to use we need to pass in a slug aspect there. So from what you have here, blog tag, blog tag, we can fetch URL, right? And for your information, this is the URL that we are fetching, that will give us a list of the blog posts that have that particular tag mentioned, right? So let me save that. Let me come back here. Let me reload. Did I reload actually? Okay. So if I come to Linux, so we have tag Linux, all right, and it returns the blog post that has included Linux in it, right? So for now, we haven't added the data across all the other pages. All right. All right. So I think so far so good. We have made some quite some progress. So we are now able to work through this, right? So if I click on this, I'm taken to more information about that blog post. All right. So something else we need to do, to on this main page here is that okay. So before we start working on other pages where we find that the data has not been passed over, then we can add this functionality whereby we try doing a blog search. All right. So let's do a blog search. We want to type in here and be able to filter the blog post based on the search intent that we use, right? So we'll come here in the views, just down, right? So we can define a view here, and we can talk of define blog search. We can define blog search like that. Then in here we are going to make use of the request, all right? Then in here we can talk of query, and this query will be getting the user input. It will be getting hold of what the user wants to search for. So in here we pass in a request dot get and we will pass in q. We will name it q, and we are going to see where this q is coming from and why not search, why not any other name. All right, so we will check if this query has something. If query has something, then we can proceed to filter the blog post based on that search intent. All right, and the area of focus, the thing that we want to focus on when searching, we want to base it on the title, right? So we still want to use the same names. For instance, for the blog post, because we are actually trying to filter the blog post based on the search intent of the user. So we need to assign it to this name as well, right? Because we are still going to use the blog HTML, this one, to display whatever blog post that the user has searched for, right? So what you need to do, we have post dot, you have objects dot, in here we need to pass in filter. Then we are filtering based on the title. Remember that all posts have a title, right? So we have that title there. Then because we don't expect, for instance, when you are searching for something on Google, you do not necessarily get the exact match based on the words that you use. So whatever results you get them, whatever results you get, you'll find that whatever strings you use to search are, say, included in the title or something. Let us just do it practically, because we have a browser here, and we want to search for let me just search for HP 640. Okay, HP 640. Let me search for up to that point. Right, so I have HP 640 G4 Core i5 8GB. So okay, so there are those that have been sponsored. If you check on them, most of them will have part of this. HP 640 G4, 640 G4. This one has 14-inch. This one, after G4, talks of Intel Core i5. So if you also check on whatever we have here, G4 Core i5. So this one first added Intel, then Core i5 8th gen, and added the other information. So basically, how this should work is that it will consider what you have here and returns items that have these keywords within them. So maybe based on the title, others may base the search on the content, the full content maybe of the blog post. So it's you to decide. You are the designer here. All right. So in here, we don't just want to filter by title, or rather like we used to do. We used to filter previously, whereby we just talk of filter title is equals to query. Remember, that will not return an exact match, and because we don't have an exact match, then it will always return that there are no blog posts until that time when you will input this complete name. All right, otherwise if you put the first two words, then there is no such title that exists, and therefore it will state that there are no blog posts that exist. All right, so the way to do that, the way to take care of that, is that we talk of title, then we pass in 2 underscore, then talk of I contains. All right, so I contains, and we will talk of query. So it contains, the title contains the query. And again, we don't want to search for those blog posts that we haven't published yet. So we also need to pass in published, like we have always been doing. All right, so this will only focus on those that have been published. And after we do that, then we hope that our blog post will contain some posts. All right, then otherwise, if it doesn't get anything, we can do an else statement here and talk of blog post being none. That is, if it doesn't get anything matching that, then the blog post should have none, and then here we should return this template. All right, so I'm going to copy the context, so it should be outside the loop. Right, so this is what we have. All right, so that is for the views. All right, So we need to have a URL that takes care of this, and it should bear this name. It should bear that name. So in here we just gonna talk about path. Then we can pass in search. All right, search /. Then we have the views dot. Then we have the name. Okay, name is equals to, all right, so I wanted to do that. All right, so I think everything looks good. All right, so the next thing is that we need to go back to the blog.html, and this is where we need to get hold of that search field. All right, so what's the name given to the search field? Okay, we have keyword. Let me search for keyword. Right. Okay, not yet. So this is where we have the search form, and all right, so all we need to do is that we need to we are going to look at how to work with forms, and especially for the post method. So for the get method, let me see what we are going to change. So for us to be able, remember we used a name here. We want to get the data that is assigned to a form named Q. Right, so this is how to do it. So for this input field, we need to introduce a name attribute, and here we are going to name it Q. All right, we are going to name it Q, and the rest of the things will remain. Maybe we can also ensure that we set this to required, right, to avoid submitting a blank form. Remember, at least you need to apply some HTML or rather some front-end skills in here. Then for the action, we need to have a method. So in this case, method should be get. Then we also need to have an action. An action should be the URL that we have used, or rather the URL that we process this search. All right, so in here you can pass in the URL, this URL tag, and pass in, let me see how we named it. We named it blog search. So pass in blog search there, and that should take care of the rest. All right, so I think, okay, so in here let me use single quotations inside here. All right, so that I think that's it. Okay, all right, so let's see how it goes. But I believe we have an error somewhere. Okay, where is it? All right, for now I'm not able to identify the error, or rather probably they are being highlighted because we set the language mode to be Django HTML. So for now we can ignore that until if we see we need to make a change. All right, so let me just save that, come back to the template, reload. Let me see if things are working here. So let me just type in first. So in this case we do not have a submit button, but once you just type in enter, should return something. So I think something here is not in good shape. So the method, okay, you don't need to pass in the method. Okay, all right, so let me look at what we have here. Okay, so I think this is where we are getting the error. So for the action, so in here we just need to pass the action. I'm not sure why I had not seen that. That's why we had some warnings here. So we need the method and the action, the way we have passed them in. Right, save that, come back here, let's go back, reload, then pass in first. Right, and we see that we get the result of the blog article with the search intent first. All right, so if we come here, type in last or first, right, so we do not get anything. Right, So let's go back, let's type in second, enter. All right, and you get second in there. All right, so I think great progress there. We are still making some good progress. So far so good. We have been able to work on all these sections. All right, so okay, so anything else remaining here? Okay, this is basically a static image. We do not need to work on this, but maybe for our application to take some shape, maybe we can just be good enough to do that. Static, then we can pass in that. Okay, okay, all right, so we have that as the other, and I think everything looks good apart from if we click on programming, we are not happy that if we come here we no categories, no recent post, and no tags. So I want us to do some deprecation here, which again we say that it's not the best practice, but as you will be working towards gaining the necessary skills and all that, there's another assignment, because we'll be copy pasting stuff here, whereby we are going to copy paste what we have here. The other lines that are fetching blog categories, remember these are to be passed on each and every they are to be passed on each and every view that requires to display blog categories. So we are going to talk of copy pasting, but we have some methods that we can use to escape that. All right, so let us make the thing work. Then maybe from your own perspective you can view on how you can be able to simplify that. Remember, we have the guiding principle talking about dry, do not repeat yourself. Again, here we are just repeating ourselves, so we are committing one serious crime. All right, so the line that we are going to be repeating, the lines that we are going to be repeating is that we need blog post in every other. All right, let us see. All right, so let us just pass them in one by one. So I think every page requires a recent post and categories, as long as it's returning the blog.html and tags as well. So we need these three categories: recent post and tags. All right, we have categories, recent post, and tags. So we have this, we have up to that. All right, so every line that every view that returns blog.html should receive that blog.html. So in here we should pass in them in here, right? Okay, indentation has not been taken care of, we need to do that, right? Then blog.html, okay, it's the same. And then in here we also need to do that. Then the next thing, the search, blog search, we also need to do that. So this one, we can just pass it in outside the checks. All right, then what else? I think from that then we can update what we have in the context. All right, so we still need to do that. So for the context, let me just copy and paste the context as it is. Okay, blog details, okay, we're going to skip that for now. Okay, for this context I believe everything has been passed. Then for this context as well, that has been passed. Blog search context, do that. All right, and I believe everything should be working as expected. Let's check. So if we just reload here, all right, we see that everything is in good shape. Let me go to SEO. If I check, so here no post related to that tag, but then if I come here, everything is still in place. I talk of web development. everything looks good again. All right, so the next thing that we need to work on, if I go to one of the blog posts, is that we still have static content here. So again, we are going to pass in this data and just do a copy pasting of what we have in the blog.html, because the styling is the same, everything is the same. So let us do that to make our website maybe not the best but close to the best. So let us see what the context that we have in the single blog post. So we have blog details, we have this context. So let us pass our own, and instead of okay, so I'll cut that, add it in here, remove that. Then so for the blog post, do we require, okay, we require the so if we, let me just view this single one. So we require the recent blog post. So in that case, we need to check on where the code for the recent blog post is. All right, so I think we can just copy and paste everything here actually. All right, so let me tag it along here. Blog post, do we need this? All right, we don't. Blog categories, I think we passed that. Blog categories, why is it misbehaving? All right, so let me see where we are missing it out, because I believe blog categories should be what we have here. Is it okay? All right, we need a comma here. Sorry, I think that I was missing it out. Sorry for that. So let's save that. All right, so even if we reload, we still get the same thing, because we have not updated anything in the template. So I'll come here in the blog section. So for the form, I'll need the form. I also need the blog categories. I also need the recent post and the tags as well. So I'll be copy pasting quite a number of lines. So we have okay, so let me just be fair enough. I think that page also makes use of the other. So I'll be copying from the class with the other, the other bio. Sorry, I think I missed out on something. Where is it? All right, so I'll be copy pasting from that section down here. Right, single, where is it? Where am I? Okay, it's down here. So I'll be talking about the other. Other, all right. Okay, so I'll be talking about this class here. Down, there's so much up to that point. Paste it there, save, hope no errors. Come back here and reload. All right, we get issues with static. Remember, invalid static. Let us ensure that we include static here. Load static. I hope you are in a better position to resolve that error. I mean, I'm just trusting that you would have acknowledged where that error is coming from. And we see everything is now taking shape. See how we have. All right, so this is what we have for now, and we have been able to pass data across the views that we have. So the retro assignment that we have is to ensure that we do not duplicate the code that is supposed to fetch the tags, the recent post, and the categories the way we are doing. So just come up with a way. We have quite a number of ways we can achieve that. So just try to check around and see how to achieve that. All right, we are in the top of the hour, but we still have some few more minutes. We see if we can make something out of the comment section. So we don't want to make it complicated. We just want to be able to post in a comment. So we are going to remove the reply idea here. We don't require it for now. All right. So far so good. Are we together up to that point? Something else before I forget. So being on this single page, we want a good title here. So we want a title that is related to the blog article that we are currently viewing, right? So this is, I think, pretty simple. So all you need is to just fetch what we have here, right? Then just paste it in here and it will do the rest. So if you want maybe to, if you wanted maybe to add the name of your company, you can do such a thing, right? All right, and here we go. So if we go to say the first one, so the name changes to that based on the title. All right, so let's now make some move. So we want to check on the comment section, and we will be removing quite a number of comments. So we just require one comment in place, and we already have it here, so the rest should go. Talking about media and before, so everything here should go. We don't require that. All right, so we want to see how we can submit a comment. So we may not be able to do all that, but for now let us just define the model that will be taking care of our comments. Maybe we can close the day there. All right, so we need to navigate back to our models, and in this case we will be defining our, or rather we will be defining a model that will be storing our comments or the user comments that come in. All right, and we are not going to complicate things. We are just going to make use of this form here to guide us. And one thing that we will be removing, we don't need the website here. We don't need that field for the website, so let me just remove it. Let me just do away with it, save that, come back here. All right, so we are just going to fetch in these three fields. So all we need to do is that we need to have class. We can name it comment as we have there. Then the next thing we have models dot model. Then beside that we are now going to fetch in the name. We have the name, and I think we are all in agreement that this should be a child field. Talking of child field, and we pass in the max length attribute and set it to say 40, right? Then the email, we have the email. This should talk of models dot email field, and also this we need to pass in the max length attribute, set it to 50 maybe. Then the next should be the message, and this should take some more content more than the child field. So we should be talking of text field here that does not require any attribute to be passed in. So that's what we have, and that's what we have here. But again, it's not everything that is included here. So it's for us to think about the design. And earlier yesterday we said that you don't just go directly to type in some codes. You need to first design that the model. All right. Okay, I had already done that, and we will be adding in some field. So one important field that we shouldn't forget. Okay, we have quite a number that we shouldn't miss out. So one of them is the comment the date when the comment was posted. So we can talk of created at. All right, and this should talk of models dot date time field. And again, we want this to be automatically picked by the system. We do not need to do anything manually, so let's set that to that. All right, then again we need to associate this with a post, because we do not want anonymous post whereby do we call them strange posts, or other strange comments, like they do not have a post related to them. So we need to capture a post, and the best position to capture that is the first in the first line. Anyway, the location doesn't matter. So in here we talk of models dot foreign key, then in here we will be posting we will be using post, the relationship between the post and comments. Then in here we said we will be using on delete, and the models should cascade, models cascade. All right, that is, if you delete the post, then all comments related to that post will be gone. All right, then let us not forget to include a related name. So we have, let us just name it comments. All right, so I think that should be sufficient. All right, it's sufficient but still not. So remember, there are some abusive comments that may come in, maybe some comments that are not so good to display to your website visitors. So we also need a way to be able to restrict them from showing on your website. So we can talk of approved, and I have a Boolean field here, Boolean field, and this default, let us be kind enough to set it to false, because we are sure that we have spammers out there. They will spam your website by posting very bad comments. Not like they are going to talk about how bad your content is, but they will be posting some funny stuff which is not so good. So you can temporarily hold those comments to first of all approve them manually, right? So we are going to set default to be false for that reason, right? So in this case we okay, so far so good. I think these are the only fields that I deem necessary for the comments, unless if you have an additional that we feel it must be captured. So for now, let us just leave it at that. All right, so let us do this. So for now we do not have a title, so we are going to talk of so we can return some, or we can return kind of a message, and we are going to use f. Then so we can talk of comment by, then in here we can pass in the name. All right, so we can pass in the name of the one who has pushed that comment. So we have this name by self dot name. All right, then we can capture the date on when did they do that, sorry, or rather so let me see, comment by on. So instead of talking about time, we can talk about the post on which this user commented. So we can talk of self dot post, this is it here, but then we want to get the title of that, so this title here. So we are going to talk of it that way, and I think everything looks good. So this f, we passed this f to help us pass in these variables. All right, I hope you know how to make use of that method. Then for this one, for the variable's name, let us have comment, then in here we have comments. All right, so that's how we are going to define our comments. That's how we will be storing our comments, and I think we are going to stop at that point.